How will men prevent the old magic from polluting the earth again? How shall we thwart the prophecy of the wizard towers that will rise again? How will we keep the monsters of their experiments at bay? I am your abbot, and in that I must be your father. But I am also godmouth of all Whitehawk. I must cross the continent to Nystol. I must go forth across the Whitehawk realms and arrive at the ruined wizard collegium Nystol. I must uncover the secrets there and the mystery of iniquity that has been stirring since it began in ancient times, when the 5 kings of the Second Age swore oaths to put an end to the wizards and sent them to dwell apart. To a desert place they sent them, a mesa by sands surrounded high upon sheer cliffs. But the wizards were not humbled and ceased not from their works. Great towers they built, and within those towers they stored secret and deep researches, scrolls and tomes by dry airs preserved, the strange writ of centuries, wherefore great power was had, and they gloried in their many scrolls. To every realm declaring, who can compare or stand against us? For behold, are we not as gods, reaching to the very edge of knowledge? The kings renewed their vows against the wizards, marshalling their armies, but it was too late. Entire legions were lost in the waterless wastes, and the soldiers heard of certain doom by dooming magic hurled. Even so, the world's rivaling princes desired the power of those scrolls, and sought they commerce with Nystol. They soon found a way, a safe passage by secret route obtained. For beneath the sands, a meandering system of tunnels and caves connects that mesa to other lands. Who can avoid the turning of ages? The day of grace dawned, and the powers of heaven and earth were shaken. Remembrance of many things was lost, and men would say, "A great voice has been heard, and a new light has appeared. Let us renounce those towers by name. No longer shall we speak of that place, and the Nystol of the ancient rises." An age passed, and the rolling deserts grew, making vast the reach of the sands. Even now, when a clear night reveals galaxies above, the nomads catch glimpses of her ghostly ruins, the strange glimmer of her spires on the horizon. "Take heed," the nomads say. "Even the outlaws have abandoned that place, driven away by her lingering furies. The earth herself expels the wizards from her vaults, even from their own tombs, for ancient are the stones beneath." But there were some who did not forget those towers. It was in the Third Age, as the Your Writ annals say, that great minds conceived new towers. 9 tall towers they planned, and under favorable omen they erected the first stones. Dwarf masons they summoned to work the rock with wondrous skill. So commenced the laws of the arcanes, and after 12 orbits of Saturn, the Magian College waxed mighty, and glassing gardens adorned her terraces. How brief the time, for soon through overweening pride did they begin to lose favor. Evil undetected made a silent claim. Rebellious men were elevated to high places. Sorcerers were tolerated. Strange utterances were heard, and soon the lawless could no longer be restrained. They twisted the arcane inheritance. It was the oldest of the orders, the Eldari, who first learned of the wickedness. They rebuked the sorcerers and prophesied against them, saying, "You summoners of spirits, do you not see how the infernal wisdom of your art will bring ruin to us all? You call down the scorn of heaven, and the world cannot escape the doom you have earned. Unable to endure such words, the lawless took hold of the Eldari and banished the old men to the waterless wastes. Therefore, bright Nemesis bade her time, awaiting a day of retribution. The nations of the earth, the allies of Nystol, every one of them who had commerce with her, learned of the impiety. They soon abandoned her, one after another. In the end, she was unable to convince even a single mercenary to her cause. Far to the north, a savage race learned tidings of broken laws and devilish rites, of many towers where lived men untrained in war and without wives, hoarding many treasures. The Maharim painted their torsos with marks of fury, restless for plunder and spoil. Even so, they waited for a propitious day. Ready horsemen though they be, they would not go without strong surety and dare the great southern desert, only to arrive, dying of thirst beneath Nystol's sheer rises. So did the horde at last ride forth from the pine forests out of their barbaric camps. Only the colossal gates of Hermia stood in the way. The massive portal was locked inextricably. A bronze giant bestride the great pass of Dariel in the mountains. So they encamped and argued over turning back. In Nystol, the magistrates gave thanks and announced peace and safety. But a viper lay in the bosom of Nystol herself, a treacherous one and conspirator who had sent a secret invitation to the axe-bearing chieftains. The arcanes bickered. The beast leaned close and waited. Suddenly, by one whose high treachery was long prepared, a narrow passage within the rocky rises was revealed. Brandishing sword and torch, the barbarous scourgers entered the tunnels, and their sandaled feet climbed the steps to the towers above. In a single day and night, the order of the world was changed. No more would the nations groan under the fearful spell of Nystol. No more would men hear the cold drone of her unearthly chants on the wind. For 3 days the smoke of her burning blackened all the sky. She shall never again be inhabited, nor dwelt in from age to age. Desert beasts shall howl in her corridors, and jackals in her luxurious palaces. So preserve what I now set down, my brethren, and let it not come to dust. For herein alone is recounted how the towers of Nystol fell, that day the Magi were deceived. Only here is told how, under the waiting shadow of the wicked, the wise were confounded, and how their libraries of forbidden knowledge burned withal, and how, after a darkened age of unknowing, I, a monk, came to know of it, and of other things, of wisdom and prophecy, whispered from out the caves of the fourth world.